Okay, welcome to hopefully my final Super Bowl prediction video. These helmets are now mine, and yeah, just for those of you wondering, in case I showed you that I had shorts on, I'm dressed now, so y'all don't have to see my hairy legs or nothing. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the Super Bowl video. I know in my other one that my dad interrupted. I can't really blame him. It was something important. But the one that he interrupted, I kind of piddle-paddled for 3 or 4 minutes before I actually got into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Just hit it right off the bat. So at first seed with the NFC with 14-2, I know everybody thinks this team is overrated, but the Atlanta Falcons. Now, whether they win in the playoffs or not, and I think that with the fact that they actually could have won the NFC Championship game if they would have scored just one touchdown in that second half, just one touchdown, they would have been going to the Super Bowl against the Ravens, and they probably would have won, considering how different those two teams are. And I mean the Falcons and the 49ers, not the Falcons and the Ravens. I actually see a few similarities between the Falcons and the Ravens. It's just that, I think the Falcons were honestly the stronger team. The 49ers, in my opinion, they just got lucky. They just made a comeback. I was hoping they would actually make the comeback that they aspired to make in the Super Bowl, because I hate the Ravens, just like I hate the Steelers. I really don't like any team in that division very much, except the Browns. But I'll get to that later. Anyway, the Atlanta Falcons, 14-2. I think Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than everybody makes him out to be. Another thing is, of course, Julio Jones, Roddy White, that tight end, his name escapes me. And, of course, Curtis Lofton on defense. Do not count Curtis Lofton out. Now, at second seed, this team really used to be a powerhouse in the NFL, back when it was coming into its own. I mean, it took about 10 years for people to get used to the idea that the AFC could actually win a Super Bowl. It took about 10 years for people to get used to that idea, because, pretty much after the Packers winning Super Bowl 1 and 2, everybody thought, oh yeah, the AFC, or back then it was the AFL, this was before the merger, they thought, oh, the AFL is going to fold in 4 years. But you know what? Because of the Jets, they didn't fold, and later on they didn't fold because, as much as I hate to admit it, I have to thank the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they proved that the AFC could win Super Bowls. So, but this team that I'm fixing to tell you was a huge powerhouse after that idea settled in and everything. So, at second seed with 12-4, I know everybody says quarterback of this team is just a one-year wonder, but I have to go with the Washington Redskins. With 12-4, I think RG3 is a better quarterback than everybody's making him out to be. Everybody says, oh, it's just a one-year thing. I don't think so. Everybody thinks he's just a running quarterback. Everybody expects him to make plays with his legs, but I think he's actually a pretty good throwing quarterback. You really can't doubt his ability to throw, because, in his first game as a rookie, he actually gained decent yardage. I can't remember the exact number. I'm pretty sure he got over 250 yards, possibly even over 300 yards passing in his first game. I have to say, that's quite impressive for a rookie in his very first game, getting over 300 yards. Yeah, I'm actually sure it was over 300 yards. But, and that's just passing. I'm not talking about him scrambling. I'm talking about passing. So I think RG3 might even turn the Redskins into what they used to be with Joe Theismann and Raypian, whatever his last name is. I can't remember. I just know first name Raypian. It's Rapien. I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to say another thing is, of course, tight end Chris Cooley. A very, very good force with the Redskins. I have to say, honestly, the Redskins, I think they're going to be in a Super Bowl sometime in the next 5 years. of course, that's telling you that, no, the Redskins are not my Super Bowl prediction for this year. Third seed with 12-4 as well, the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, Russell Wilson, excellent running game, excellent defense. Lofa Tatupu, yeah, that name just kind of makes you want to chuckle, but, well, Seahawks definitely have an amazing defense, and I have to say that I think the Redskins would have made a good run at the NFC Championship if it hadn't have been for them actually breaking RG3's foot or whatever it was that happened. I can't remember off the top of my head. But at fourth seed with 11-5, Adrian Peterson, Greg Jennings, and the Minnesota Vikings. Another team that people thought, it was just a one-year thing. But with Greg Jennings as an addition to the team, I think those thoughts have to be gone by now. Yeah. Really, one thing that I really have to say with Adrian Peterson, I think if the Minnesota Vikings was to just move back out to the old Metro, I honestly think that they would be a surefire Super Bowl contender. Because, think about it. If Adrian Peterson was to get used to the cold and everything, it's Minnesota. Come on. They went to 4 Super Bowls before they left the Metro. After they left the Metro, even the year they went 15-1, they didn't go to a Super Bowl. The 98 Vikings, 15-1, lost to the 14-2 Atlanta Falcons back in 1998 for the right to go to the Super Bowl. It was actually sad. I know I wasn't alive back then, but my dad told me it was actually sad to see the first 15-1 team that didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And another thing is, he actually really likes the Vikings. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I do like them, so, the truth is, they're actually my least favorite team in that division, but I actually like all the teams in that division. But that doesn't matter, I'm going to move on. Fifth seed with 11-5. I'm not going to count them out of the playoffs. The San Francisco 49ers. Colin Kaepernick, Michael Crabtree, to a lesser extent, and Frank Gore. And, of course, Patrick Willis and the rest of that defense. They work very well, and I think they know how to win games. I think, honestly, the team was better with Alex Smith, but I think Colin Kaepernick is good enough to at least get them back to the playoffs. Not back to the Super Bowl, but back to the playoffs. I think he is that good. The thing is, they didn't know how to win against the Rams last year. They were 0-1-1 against the Rams. They lost a game and they tied a game. To me, a tie is just so sad. It's just unbelievable. And at 6th seed, okay, what would the NFC playoffs be without this team? I know, of course, without Greg Jennings, they're not going to be the powerhouse that they were. But at 6th seed, I got to go with the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I'm shocked at how many people are saying this team is going to be back in the Super Bowl. My honest opinion is that Aaron Rodgers is overrated. A lot of people say that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I've even heard a couple people say he's the best quarterback that ever played. No, not even close. He's not even in my top 25. I'm sorry, but Bart Starr was the best quarterback that the Packers ever saw. And he's only number 15 on my list, so yeah. Another thing is, I think Brett Favre was really overrated, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I have to say, with Greg Jennings gone, I think their pass attack is going to be much less powerful. Their defense seems to be going downhill. So yeah, we'll just see how that works out. But here's what I'm saying. In this matchup, I think that the Minnesota Vikings will fall to the San Francisco 49ers. It'll be a close game, but not exactly a shootout. I think the San Francisco 49ers will probably win by a touchdown and a field goal, and they'll go on, and we will see a rematch of last year's NFC Conference Championship. The Atlanta Falcons hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Then over here, you see the Seattle Seahawks hosting the Green Bay Packers. as you all know, I don't have much faith in the Packers to win in the playoffs anymore. Well, not as you all know, but as most of you who personally know me know, I don't have much faith in the Packers to win in the playoffs anymore. So yeah, I'm taking them out. Another team I kind of lost my faith in after this past year was the New Orleans Saints. Like, for a while during the offseason, I was actually saying my Super Bowl prediction for this past season was Texans and Saints. Of course, when I got up to the playoffs, my prediction was Patriots and Falcons, but I got that one wrong. So, yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some. So, in this matchup, a rematch of last year's wild card round, I think the same thing is going to happen. I think the Seattle Seahawks will defeat the Washington Redskins and will be in the NFC Championship against the Atlanta Falcons. I actually expect them to win this game this time. Really, as I said before, if the Falcons had made just one touchdown in the second half of the NFC Championship game, we would have seen them go into the Super Bowl. In fact, I don't know if they'd have scored just once. I don't even know if we'd have seen the 49ers coming back from that. So, with all of that said, I'm going to move over here to the AFC. Now, first seed in the AFC, also with 14-2, I'm going to see Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos sitting there at first seed, all high on their horse. That was a horrible joke. Anyway, second seed, I gotta see my boys through here, 13-3. I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans. Now, as you all know, the Houston Texans are my favorite team in the NFL, simply because I'm from Texas. You know, I've just never been that much of a Cowboys fan. But, yeah. Houston Texans, 13-3, second seed. And third seed, I'll say with 12-4. This is one game better than in my last prediction video. Yeah, the New England Patriots. Of course, with Tom Brady, they're going to pull it off every year. You know, it's just going to happen, okay? I mean, there's really no doubt that they're going to make it to the playoffs with Tom Brady. And at fourth seed, with 11-5, I've kind of found new faith in this team. As you know, I'm remaking this video. Well, not as you know. I said this in my last video, not this one. But I'm really making this video because of one matchup. And plus that, the other guy in my other video, I'm not associated with him anymore. Anyway, so, and no, that's not a gay thing. It's just, he was a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine, okay? I'm just gonna say that much. As I know some of you are gonna, like, spam, like, freaking stupid comments like that. So, I might as well just tell you now, no, it's not like that. But, yeah. Fourth seed. I've been staring at him for, like, the past minute. With 11-5, I'm going to say the Cincinnati Bengals. I honestly think that the defense of this team can pull it off. I think Andy Dalton is definitely Andy Dalton on offense is a bit of a force to be reckoned with. Although, I don't trust him. You know, I don't trust the Bengals' offense as much as I do their defense. They're definitely going to be a defensive team. Coming in at the 5th seed with 10-6, the Miami Dolphins. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to improve enough over the offseason to get them a playoff spot. But honestly, at this point, that's all that I think they're going to do. And at 6th seed, really, I considered really 4 or 5 teams for this. At one point, I was saying the Steelers. One point, I was saying the Colts. One point, I was saying even the Jets. One point, I was saying the Chiefs. But I gotta go with what my heart says. I'm going to go with Jake Locker. Crap, I can't think of his name now. I'll try to think of his name later. Jake Locker and the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, I'll just have to let it come to me. Anyway, in this matchup in this wild card matchup between the Bengals and the Dolphins, I'm going to say in a defensive battle, I think this will probably be the lowest scoring game in the entire playoff run. This time, I'm going to say Bengals over Dolphins. So yes, Dolphins, you join all the NFC teams that have lost. And, it's Justin something. Like, it's a wide receiver. I was so mad at the Texans for not getting him. I'll think of him later. Anyway, I think it's going to be a quarterback duel between Tom Brady and his arm, Jake Locker and his legs, possibly his arm with Justin something. I don't know. But, yeah. The Tennessee Titans will be blown out by the Patriots, in my opinion. Like, I know I said it'll be a quarterback duel, but I kind of overstated that, I guess. But, yeah, so here's your two divisional round matchups. The Cincinnati Bengals will travel to Denver to fight the Broncos. And I kind of trust the Bengals. They do have a possibility at really winning this game. Because, I mean, at first I said the Miami Dolphins are going to win that matchup. And they're not going to be able to stand the high altitude and, of course, the low temperatures of Denver. But considering Cincinnati's climate, you know, if they can get adjusted to how high the Mile High Stadium is, if they can get adjusted to that, then yeah, they'll have a pretty good game. But in the end, I think this is going to come down to another defensive battle. And I think that the Bengals will lose out to the Broncos defense. And in this matchup, obviously, actually these two matchups are kind of interesting because they're kind of the same as they were last year, but they're kind of different. Like, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals are in the same division as the Ravens, and in the divisional round last year, the Ravens went to Denver. And, well, last year, the Houston Texans went to the Patriots, and this year I'm predicting the Patriots to go to Houston. But here's the thing. I'm also predicting the Texans to win the game they lost last year as well for a few key reasons. First of all, last year they had to play in Gillette Stadium. I think Gillette Stadium is, as far as the emotional factor goes, I think it's one of the biggest home field advantages in the NFL, simply because they have Tom Brady, they have all those weapons in the pass attack. Well, not anymore, but I still think the Patriots are quite a force to be reckoned with. I think this will be a pretty close game, but in the end, I think it's going to be the Texans because they hold home field advantage this time. They'll have Brian Cushing back. Hopefully, they'll have TJ Yates under center. I'm hoping they will, although I doubt it. Another thing is, actually, this one is kind of interesting. Ed Reed signed with the Texans over this offseason so far. And, well, obviously, Ed Reed, being with the Ravens, he knows ways to beat the Patriots on defense. So, I honestly think that the Texans will be able to make the stop. Another thing is, I believe the Texans actually could have won that game last year. It's just that, like, that receiver core had so many drop passes, it was unbelievable. Like, Matt Schaub hit his marks just right, but they were dropping passes left and right in the first part of that game. I just couldn't believe it. But, yeah, I think the Patriots are going out here. And here are your two conference championships. Now to the NFC, this is actually a pretty interesting matchup because this was a close game last year. Obviously the Seattle Seahawks, they'll have a great team together this year. The Atlanta Falcons, I think they have really nowhere to go but up. But this is a very hard decision. But in the end, I think it's really gonna come down to this. Atlanta has a good defense, has a good high-powered offense. Seattle has a good high-powered defense. So I think really it's gonna come down to Atlanta being able to stop the Seahawks. And believe it or not, I actually believe that the Falcons will be able to do that. So there you go. The Atlanta Falcons will be the NFC representatives in Super Bowl 48. Now, on to this. The Denver Broncos hosting the Houston Texans. Now this is a pretty tough matchup because if I say what my heart is saying, everybody's going to call me a fanboy. But you know what? I'm going to go with it anyway because I do have stock to back it up. Here's the thing. The Texans' defense is going to be stronger next year than it was this year with Ed Reed, as I said before, Brian Cushing back, all the reasons that I said in the Patriots game that the Texans will have a stronger team. So, with that said, in normal fashion, yeah, this is another thing. In normal fashion, Peyton Manning will choke, and we see my boys, the Houston Texans, Super Bowl 48 representatives for the American Football Conference. I kind of forgot what I was saying there for a second, but you know what? I don't care. So, this is my Super Bowl matchup. And, I'm not going to say who's going to win this one, because I don't want to cause any controversy. Obviously, if I say Houston wins it, I'm going to get called a fanboy left and right. If I say the Falcons win it, I'm going to destroy myself. Emotionally, at least. Not literally, I wouldn't do that, but, yeah, this is what I'm going to say is the Super Bowl 48 matchup. Now, obviously, I did consider some other teams. I considered the Seahawks. At one point, I even considered the Redskins and the 49ers. I did consider the Bengals as possible contenders, although I'm not exactly surefire on it. Obviously, I considered the Patriots. The Patriots are always a possibility every year with Tom Brady. But I just don't think they're going to get it done at this point. They kind of had too many bad years because, you know, ever since 2005, I mean, I think they may have won just over half of their playoff games. I mean, there was a stretch for like 2 years where they didn't even win in the playoffs. Like, they lost in the wild card round to the Ravens. Bad. I mean, that was a bad game. I hated that game. It was like 35-17. And then there was a game against the Jets when they were a 14-2 team. 14-2. And they lose to the 10-6 Jets in the divisional round. And they were sitting at first seed. There was no reason for them to lose that game. So they went for 2 years. Even when they were 14-2, they couldn't win a single game in the playoffs. But then the next year, they went on to Super Bowl 46 and fell to the 9-7 Giants, which I'm very disappointed for. Which is a reason that I kind of like the Giants less now. Like, I used to like the Giants. The Giants actually used to be in my top 5. Then they were in my top 10 whenever they beat the Patriots back in 2007. Then when they beat them in Super Bowl, when they beat them in Super Bowl 41 or 40, I think it's 42. Then when they beat them in Super Bowl 46, they weren't even number 1 in their division anymore. Now the Redskins are my favorite team in their division. But you know what? Enough rambling. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And in the end, thank you for watching. God bless you all. And well, if this is all you're doing on YouTube today, then just have a great day. Thank you for watching.